Decided to change the wheel size again. I'm just not quite happy with these big tyres. They ripped my brand new guard liner out. A few changes. We've gone for a G45 turbo. It's a big turbo. I think it's like a 76 mil. I think that's what they call them. This is still a street car, and that's why I'm doing this little edit to show you guys where we're up with it. So Anthony from Dartone has done a beautiful set of covers for me. Alex from Bespoke has gone through and welded up all the bits and pieces on it. So we're not two packing this year. We're going powder coat. It's going to match the brakes. Now, while we're down here looking at the brakes, I'm going to go over a couple of issues. So, we managed to squeeze a set of 17s over the big brakes, which is awesome. It is. The problem is, I wanted to put these Pro Street radial tyres on that everyone's going on about, right? So I think they're like a 275 45 17 is a big tyre, and you need to have that much clearance, which is fine when you're doing your drags, when you just did drags, but I want to cruise around in this thing. So unfortunately, we are pulling them off and we're going back to a set of 18s and still going to retain the 275, so it's still a nice wide tyre, but it's a 275 35, so there's a fair bit less wall, like this much, okay? So when you say the 45 is, yeah, so 275 is the width from there to there, so 275. And then people say, every time we go through this, someone says something different, but I'm pretty sure the 35 is this height. Now, it's not 35 mil, I'm pretty sure it's like 35% of 275 or some rubbish, I don't know. But yeah, so your 35 is this, your 275 is across there. So because it's a 35 series, it's a much smaller tyre and we can actually lower the car. What I don't like is that these TEs are the Sagas. I don't know what I feel, how I feel about it. They look terrible, but I didn't want to, they look insane. Wait till you see them on this car. Oh, it's now 3:10 in the morning. Getting pretty tired, but no, we're nearly there. The car is completely done other than this front bumper and putting some wheels on. So I'm just trying to salvage this guard liner. That's a brand new Nissan guard liner, about $400 and heaps of freight because they're so big. So first world problems. I know I shouldn't be complaining about this, and I'm not complaining, but I am not happy with the wheel selection that I've got for the 32. Disappointed that these 17s aren't working. In the rear, they're absolutely perfect. In the front, I cannot get them to run without either rubbing on the front there, pulling the whole front bumper off, or pulling the guard liner out and destroying the guard liner and that. So no matter if I wind it forward or no matter if I wind it backwards or wind it forward off the traction arms, it still hits either way. It is an extremely big wheel. I've wound up the coil, those MCA coilovers as high as I can get, and they still don't work. I think I would have to actually reset the base height of the coilovers to get a bit more height. So for now, these bad boys are going to go back up. I'm going to box them back up. They're a good wheel, nice and light. So I'm going to sit them all, careful of the stickers. I'm going to sit them all up on the bench. And then we're going to climb up there and stack them back in their box. This is going to be fun. I'm going to try and carry these up there with one arm. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Boom. That's how it's done. Lucky last. Fuck, that's a good looking wheel. Whatever car that goes on, it's going to be pretty sweet. I think with standard brakes, this is a really good wheel. With big brakes, there's too much showing. I think that's what it was. It just didn't look right, or it could have been the offset, but I'm pretty keen to get those bad boys on. So these TEs, the SLs, they come with a sticker, which I think is pretty cool. And I've never really put it on before, but I'm gonna put it on this time. So that's the sticker there, and it just goes on the, I always put it to, yeah, put it closest to the other sticker that's on it. Perfect. Fuck, that was a little bit tricky up that end. I think we got. After finally picking a set of wheels I wanted to run on this thing, and I do like the dark bronze, so it sort of matches with everything. But what I thought we would talk about, suspension torque. So suspension tech torque is what we're going to get into. This is what I do. You can measure this from 10 different ways, but this is the most basic way that I've found how to do it. So when you put your coilovers in, these are MCA reds. You put your coilovers in, they come pre-adjusted, and then we put the wheel on, which is completely sagging. No, it doesn't look like it, but that's hanging. And then what you want to do is you want to measure your sag. So normally I just go from the bottom of the rim, because it's easy to hook under with the tape, and then directly up through the center of the wheel and to the guard. Okay, so we've got 68 exactly, so 680 mil, right? So remember that for the front, which was 680, and then the back, which is, again, from the bottom of the rim where the tape hooks in, because I'm lazy, and that's 63. Let's just go 64 was 68, so front left, rear left was 64, and then we'll do a front right and a rear right. So let's measure those now. So again, on the other side, have the wheel hanging, well it should be because the other one is. So hook it in. So we've got 68 again in the front, which is pretty mint. And we got on the rear, 63 and a half. So we're half a mil out. So the front was, yeah, 68. Maybe I didn't fuck that up. It was 63, 64. It was very close there. What we're going to do is we're going to lower the car down. I might do the back one because the back one's easier to see, right? So as I lower the car down, you're going to see, so it was hanging there, it was 64 or 640 mil from the bottom of the rim to the top of the guard. So let's get our tape out and measure it again. So now we've got 58, right? So 580 in the rear and 600 in the front. Front right, straight up through the middle, and we've got 600 again. So the fronts are right, so they're exactly the same, which means everything should be pretty aligned. Straight, back one, bottom of the rim, up through the center to there, and we've got 58.5. So the coilovers are working very well because they've gone exactly what it used to be. So now we got all our measurements up on the board. I went through and did all the answers quickly so I can show you now. So, righto, so what do we got here? So 680 minus 600 is 80 mil, right? And then 640 minus 580 is 60. Same again as the fronts is 80. And then 630 minus 580 is 50. Okay, so that there, the number on the end, that is your droop measurement or your sag measurement. Now it has to be anything above 50. So below 50, and you're gonna have to actually adjust your base height. So luckily, we just squeeze in there. So the rear right is only 50, but it's fine as long as it's 50 and above. And then your fronts are 80, which is absolutely perfect, and same as the rear. The left rear was again only just over, it was 60. Okay, so we're right in the number range there. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now it's just a matter of getting it to look right. Okay, so the front looks pretty good there, but I think it's too low. And as I said, all the young boys out there, the stance boys, are going to be like, what a pussy, but I like my car and I'm too old to be bouncing around the fucking highway. So yeah, it looks pretty mint. I think what we'll do is we'll just take it for a spin now and see how it goes. But height wise, it looks sick. It'd be cool. If we can run it that low and it's comfy, I'll be stoked. If not, we'll wind it up a bit. Anyway, enough boring wheel and suspension talk. Let's go for a drive. What I do have to do, and I'm still getting used to this, is before you go for a drive and you're 32, it's a performance car, right? And it's old, so you check your oils, coolants, your wheels, do the whole check. I'm still getting used to this, and that's the dry sump tank. So to check the oil, obviously I found out this was a bit different too. So to check your oil, you need to check your dry sump tank. As you can see, give it a shake, and it's just below that mesh, which is halfway. That's actually probably not, it's probably down here a bit, right? And it took me this to figure it out, but I went, well shit, hang on, this thing's low on oil. But what actually happens is, because our oil tank sits quite high, which is sort of, yeah, you want it as low as you can, but I couldn't do it without cutting a hole. So because it sits quite high, a lot of the oil will actually drain back into the small sump. Like, it's only a small sump, but it'll drain back into the pump, the sump, everywhere. So that's not a bad thing, because when I start it up, it obviously has oil pressure instantly, and it doesn't take the time for it to pump all the way back here. So what I actually have to do is to check this first, make sure it's got oil in it. I then have to start it for a minute and then shut it off again and recheck the oil, because by that time it's pumped all the oil back up into here, prime the system, and I can get the actual oil. There we go. So this is a pretty well fresh cold start, hasn't been running for a while. So we're going to go for another drive this afternoon. So better start warming it up now, because it'll be fucking dinner time by the time it warms up. But what we really should do is, because it's such a new build, we'll jump underneath and just triple check that there's no fluids there, which we're all looking pretty sweet, especially up the front. There's nothing, so that's always an awesome sign. So we sorted out that front crank seal, thanks to Bullet Engineering, Darren. So that was a good idea. And if anyone else has got a billet block and they have the same problem, I had to remove the dowels for the oil pump blank off plate out of the block. So at the front there, where you put your oil blank off plate, where the factory oil pump goes, there's two dowels, and you just slip them out. And in doing so, with the silicon steel wet, it just it pulls it into place, right? So it's perfectly where it needs to be on that lip seal for the front crank seal. And I gave it like an hour, then I just wound them in until they touched, and then I come back the next morning and just put a little bit of tension on them. There's no torque whatsoever, just do them up so they don't fall out, is what I was told to do, and it's been perfect. was fucking heaps of fun, but it wasn't much fun for you guys because I left the mic too close to the exhaust again. Time I sat it up further and I thought I would sit it up out of the wind, but no, it was still too much for it. So unfortunately, you're not going to hear the car going, but I can tell you right now, she's going awesome. So I can't wait to get this thing on the dyno now. It's just love getting like not rushed and being able to spend, you know, 2 weekends just playing around it. Right. Can't see nothing leaking. Can't smell fuel, can't see oil. Look at the colours of that titanium pipe. Fuck, that's mad. Hell yeah. Good metal titanium. So yeah, hopefully we can get these valve covers back on. And I'm taking those big coil packs off. I don't need them. It's not a 2000 horsepower car, so we're going to put the HKS ones on that are on the other car. And we are about to do a wheel giveaway. So get on board, become a member. It's $5 a month. Like, yeah. All right. See you next week.